Part 1 First Things First Chapter 1 What is focus and how does it work? Focus has many meanings depending on the context, but they all revolve around a state of clarity, a point of convergence, a center of interest or activity. Mental focus, which is what this book is about, refers to our ability to concentrate and direct our attention and energy onto something. This definition implies that focus is a deliberate action. It is not a state of mind, at least not initially, and requires an active approach to bring our attention to what we want to focus on and then to maintain it. That's good and bad news. It's bad for those of you who are hoping for some holy grail of instant focus once and forever, but good news for those of you frustrated with pursuing those elusive holy grails. For simplicity, I use three terms: focus, attention, and concentration, almost interchangeably through this book. But, for the record, here is a very brief outline of the differences between them. Attention is your ability to attend to inside or outside stimuli. Attention can be focused or divided. Focus is your ability to direct your attention to one selected stimulus. Concentration is your ability to sustain focus on one thing, stimulus, for a prolonged period of time. 1. There is no holy grail of laser-sharp focus. There is no one-size-fits-all, either. The ability to focus is a skill you can learn, improve, and adapt to whatever your current needs are. How you achieve it depends on your individual situation, your mindset, your skills, and most of all, your environment. So stop chasing those holy grails and keep reading. How focus works. Let's start with understanding how focus works and what can get in the way of your concentration. Focus, as explained in the previous section, is your ability to direct your attention onto one thing, stimulus. In a simplified nutshell, we can say that attention, and hence focus, can be directed in two ways, automatic and intentional. Automatic attention is very short-lived, 8 to 12 seconds. It's geared up to detect danger in our environment, to hear, see, smell, or otherwise perceive any changes around and inside us. So any unexpected noise, flashes of light, stab in the back, pain in the stomach, or that fear rising in your head, will be automatically brought to your attention, dragging your focus away from whoever you're doing at the time. Automatic attention evolved as a life-saving ability. However, in the modern day when every electronic device is equipped with flashing lights and a variety of annoying sounds, automatic attention can ruin your focus very quickly. Intentional attention is subject to our conscious control. We turn it on when we want to focus on something, and off when no longer interested. Its natural span is 10 minutes, 2. Not much, is it? No, not enough to read a chapter, or definitely too little to complete a report. Fortunately, we all have the ability to extend it beyond those meager 10 minutes, but unless you put in extra effort to keep at it, your focus will start drifting away. How can you do it? To keep intentional focus on a target for longer than those 10 minutes, you need to feel involved in the task and find it attractive enough to keep going. These two factors can be influenced consciously, and we will talk about it more in Chapter 10. Problem with attention span? No problem. However, being able to focus for longer periods of time is not just a matter of some attention superpower. Your body needs to feel comfortable enough to maintain its position. Your mind have to be clear enough to follow the content, and your environment should not get in the way. In this brief chapter I explained the key concepts that will be used throughout this book: attention, concentration and focus, and how they work. In the next chapter I will show you how to identify the problems with your focus. Chapter 2 Your specific situation and how to diagnose problems in your system. In this chapter we will talk about the very first steps you need to take in order to successfully improve your focus. 2 types of problem with focus: how to identify what's not working for you, identifying patterns, where to find useful advice on addressing your specific problem is the reason I started writing about focus and came up with the idea of my free 4-part email course Improve Your Focus, parts of which have been incorporated into this ebook. Was the frustration with blanket, cure-all advice I came across on the web. A number of people I spoke to before writing this book, students, small business owners, entrepreneurs, wannabe preneurs, and career shifters, complained about their disillusionment with generic advice, ineffective techniques, and overall lack of practical how-to they have encountered when seeking solutions to their focus problems. Those of you who read my Quora Answers or Shapeshifters Club blog posts may know about my particular view on meditation as a way to improve concentration. Not that I have anything against meditation in general, it is a great way to enhance your physical and mental well-being, achieve focus, peace of mind, fulfillment, and other things. But it is not the only way to achieve those goals and may not work for everyone, and most of all it is not a cure-all. Do you know that failure to recognize what's not working, diagnostic errors, are the most common, most costly, and most dangerous medical mistakes? 1. Luckily, our lives and health are not at risk here. Nevertheless, before you start investing time, effort, and maybe even money, productivity apps, anyone, into fixing your struggling concentration, take time to diagnose what's not working. Diagnostic process is not used only in health settings. Understanding the problems first so that you can apply a targeted solution is the foundation of effective problem-solving strategies, regardless of the industry, specialty, or areas of life. I believe that if something is not working, the best way to fix is to understand what's not working in the first place. This stems from my medical training. A good doctor will take time to understand the underlying cause of your illness before they prescribe any treatment. They will keep multiple hypotheses in mind, aware that different problems may present with similar symptoms. So he or she will explore the symptoms, run some tests, or do an X-ray. Sadly, I am unable to diagnose your focus problems individually, but I have come up with a way to help you identify what it's not working. The section below will guide you through the process I use and recommended to many of my students. It may feel like it's time-consuming and unnecessarily slowing the process, but it is worth the investment. I encourage you to run those logs for at least a few days, even if you feel you know what's not working for you. Once you have completed your distraction logs, check the laser-sharp focus roadmap at the end of this chapter for further suggestions regarding where to seek help specific to your problems. 2 types of problems with focus. Now that you know how attention and focus work, you can imagine what may get in the way of you being focused. Generally speaking, there are 2 types of focus problems: threats to your automatic attention, so anything your brain may perceive as potential danger and hence demand you refocus your attention onto it. Typically, these will be all types of distractions and interruptions, such as flashing lights, warning sounds, and anything making a sudden appearance, noise, smell, etc. Threats to your intentional attention, that is, threats to your ability to focus for longer than those 10 minutes. Since this type of attention relies on your interest and comfort, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, as well as boredom and lack of motivation, are likely to drive your focus away from your task. Usually, these problems manifest themselves as procrastination or distractions. As you probably noticed, any of these problems can come from anywhere inside your body, your mind, or your immediate environment. That's why part 2 of this book is organized around the 3 main focus danger zones: your environment, your body and your mind. Usually, you are likely to experience more than one problem and often from more than one zone. If you happen to have noisy neighbors whose arguments you can hear even with your windows closed, your mind will be tuning in and out of their arguments, be it out of curiosity or emotional arousal because you will be growing angry or frightened, if it is a really feisty fight. As a result, you may end up with a headache, which will add to your difficulties concentrating on your jobs. Chapter 3: Setting Goals, Why It's Important for Better Focus and How to Do It. In this chapter I will zero in on an obvious, but very important aspect of creating a laser-sharp focus: goal setting. I will explain why goal setting is important for achieving greater clarity of focus, how to set long and short-term goals, and how to track your progress. Goal setting, you've heard it all, haven't you? SMART goals, et al. If you're already aware of why you need to set goals and how goal setting is related to your productivity, effectiveness, and specifically, focus, feel free to skip this chapter. If you're not sure, not clear, or just need a refresher, keep reading. Below are a few evidence-based reasons. Why goal setting is important to achieving better focus. Goal setting is crucial to achieving what we want in life, and obviously what you want from your ability to focus. Why? Because the first step to succeeding in getting where you want to be is knowing where you want to be. If you don't know what you need/want to focus on, the best focusing skills in the world are not going to deliver tangible results. Goal setting helps distinguish relevant from irrelevant stuff. With clear vision, you are able to prioritize, and as a result, you know what you should be working on right now and in the future. Goal setting is also a vital element of motivation. Clear goals will help you muster motivation for whatever your task at hand is. This is particularly important in situations when your long-term, intrinsic motivation gets a little lost behind the pile of day-to-day stuff to do. People who set their own goals, make sure those goals are relevant to them, and care about the outcomes are more committed to reach their goals. And obviously, the more committed to your goals you are, the better your performance and the bigger your chances of succeeding. So get into a habit of setting goals for yourself. Read on to see how to do that. How to set goals for laser-sharp focus. 1. Set your own meaningful goals. The goals you've set should be meaningful and relevant to you. If, for whatever reason, you are working towards goals set for you by others, e.g., your parents, teachers, or feel they are otherwise given/forced on you, see if you can reframe them. When reframing goals given, look for drivers you can relate to, stuff that is relevant and meaningful to you. There is plenty of evidence that you are more likely to succeed if you are pursuing goals that are relevant and meaningful to you. Students who set their own educational goals perform much better academically than those who just plod along or take what the teacher set out for them. 1. The same goes for employees. Those who set their own personal standards for productivity achieve better results than those who had their goals set for them by the employer and were incentivized for their performance. 2. This may sound obvious for people who grew up being encouraged to be their own person. For those of you who are either not sure of themselves, or have some obligations towards their parents, spouses, children, or family in general, this may be harder. Many students asked me how they are supposed to set their own goals when their goals have been set for them by their parents or society's expectations. I have also met parents, immigrants, who were pursuing goals set for their family's sake rather than their own professional or personal development. Sometimes it is your specific situation that is influencing your goals much more than your own wishes. However, it does not mean that you're doomed. Like with the discovery of intrinsic factors under the cover of extrinsic motivation, we will discuss it in Chapter 4. I believe you can create your own goals that are meaningful to you within the constraints of what is given to you. The key is to understand what drives you and see how this is connected to the given goal. If, for whatever reason, you feel you are pursuing goals that are not completely yours, look beyond the surface. If you are following the wishes of your parents, you need to retrain because you have been made redundant, or you need to retake your exams because the country you have moved to does not recognize your qualification. Explore what underpins that. You can either see what's in it for me, use the given goal as a means to an end, or just reframe it to include your own internal motivation. For example, if your parents want you to become an accountant because they believe this would give you good job opportunities, financial security, and social standing, and you would rather do something more risky but creative and fun, you could consider becoming an accountant as a means to an end. Your own meaningful goal could be that of quickly getting a job in a city to gain financial and emotional freedom to pursue your creative endeavors alongside the job, or at a later stage in life. In the immigrant with unrecognized qualifications example, the external motivation is the ability to earn money to support your family. But the underlying, internal motivation may be that of wanting to practice your profession again, or to be able to get a job you're an expert in. It may also be a bigger picture goal, to achieve financial freedom, or to give yourself or your family better quality of life, etc. This exercise is similar to the one I suggest for exploring/refreshing your intrinsic motivation, a discovery exercise, in the next chapter. Check it for more inspiration. Remember, whatever it is you are pursuing, Make sure you have a stake in the game and the goal is meaningful and relevant to you. 2. Set your goals as positive statements. Studies show that people are more likely to achieve goals framed positively rather than negative ones. Reframe your goals if needed. Want to stop checking your FB and phone for new messages every few minutes to minimize disruption to your study time? Set yourself a goal of improving your productivity by managing technology. Do you overcommit yourself for the fear of losing out and want to cut down on the number of projects you get involved in? Reframe your goal from "I want to stop putting my hand up so often" to "I want to be able to fully concentrate on 3 projects that are most relevant to me." 3. Set ambitious goals. Multiple studies have shown that setting challenging goals leads to high levels of performance. 1,2, 4. Furthermore, challenging goals lead to higher sense of self-efficacy, the perception of being able to do the task, which in turn further fuels motivation and the success cycle. If you are familiar with the concept of flow, aka the zone, described by Csikszentmihalyi, 5, you may be aware that this fully immersed, energized state of focus happens when the right level of challenge meets the right level of skills. Challenges below your skill level are likely to lead to boredom and apathy, while tasks too difficult for your experience will create anxiety. Model of flow as a function of the level of skill versus the level of challenges as per Csikszentmihalyi, 5, 4. Make your goals SMART. I'm sure we have all heard that old acronym, but let's go over it again. SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Why do they work better than broad, aspirational, do my best kinds of goals? For many reasons, including the initiation and ongoing motivation. Effective implementation. Intention, if-then plan. Goal achievement strategy, spelling out in advance how the person will go about achieving their goal, increase in self-efficacy, and the most obvious, the clarity of focus. 6. How do you make your goals SMART? Here are a few suggestions. Specific. Ask yourself the 5 W questions: who, what, where, when, why. People who clearly describe how they're going to reach their goal are more likely to implement the plan they've come up with, e.g. who, I, what, will complete the first draft of my novel by writing / will have market research completed. Where, in my office / talking face-to-face to my target audience in town. When, every morning from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. / during lunch breaks. Why? Because I want to have the manuscript ready for the competition so that I can get feedback on it / because I want to develop a thorough avatar for my startup target audience, and so on. Measurable. Decide how you are going to measure your success. Is it by the number of in-person interviews completed, if you're an entrepreneur researching your market? Progress in word count, if you're writing a novel? Or maybe your grades, for students? Your measurements will depend on your goal. Be clear how you're going to track your progress and how you will know you have accomplished your goal. Attainable. Ask yourself an honest question: do you really have all it takes to get there? Do you have any skill, knowledge, or equipment gaps? And if you do lack something, can you acquire, develop, or somehow make up for those gaps? Realistic. A common reason many goals end up not being achieved is underestimating how much time and effort getting there requires. Be realistic in setting up the buy-when and estimating the financial and effort implications of pursuing your goal. Fledgling entrepreneurs and wannabes juggling regular jobs and their new businesses often underestimate the energy toll this approach takes. If you are embarking on a journey where such burning the candle at both ends is involved, consider managing your energy rather than your time. Check Chapter 11, The Importance of Managing Energy, Not Time, for tips on how to manage your energy. Timely. For best results, have a deadline for your efforts. Deadlines are great for pushing on, particularly when you need that extra motivation to finish. Some people really thrive under time pressure, and often leave their tasks to the last moment, then with that deadline closely hanging over their heads, they are able to muster extra energy and get to the finish line. The upsides are clear: with adrenaline-fueled buzz and excitement, the job gets done in a tick. But the trade-offs are common and potentially harmful: unnecessary stress, higher potential for things to go wrong, and hence delays due to no time buffer. However, if you prefer a more planned, consistent, and systematic approach to your work, set out whatever timeline may suit you best. Do whatever fits your working style and your needs. The point here is to ground your goal within a time frame. Note, these rules apply to performance and ability goals, that is, goals revolving around tasks, projects, or skill learning, but are not quite applicable to habit formation or habit changing. Use these steps when setting up your educational, performance, or production goals, such as: I want to learn how to build iOS apps over the next few months. I want to run a half marathon by the end of this year. I want to release my book on July 1st. St. But not for things such as establishing habits and behaviors, e.g. I want to practice meditation every morning. I want to develop a regular exercise/study routine. I want to meaningfully participate in team meetings. 5. Start with the big goal and work from there. This strategy for planning your journey will help you keep your motivation well fueled. See Chapter 4 for more details. In the longer and shorter run, it also helps with prioritizing your tasks. When you first set your goals, start with the big picture in mind. How to do it? On a large piece of paper, or electronic document, or in any of the multiple mind mapping software available. If you're using paper/whiteboard, at the top of the page write down your big goal, the who, what, where, when, why of your goal. Remember to be smart. At the bottom of the page write where you are now. Map the major steps necessary to get from where you are to where you want to be. Work out what your sub-goals and milestones are to make sure you capture all the steps necessary. Add timelines/deadlines. You can also use mind mapping or other non-linear tools, using hardware, pen and paper, pen/whiteboard, or software. Mind maps are good for keeping track of all sub-goals and side threads. I prefer using pen and paper, but software has the benefit of easily collapsing multiple branches and sub-threads for clarity. Spend as much time as you need on this exercise. Come back to your plan/map and update it regularly. You may want to review the goals after some time. The document will grow and evolve, and that's okay. The key is to keep the map/plan relevant to what you want in life and capture what really matters to you. Say you want to quit your day job and start a health and fitness business. Your main driver is your passion for health and fitness, and the dream of working for yourself and financial independence. Having a successful health and fitness business is your big goal. The major steps, sub-goals, may include completing a qualifications in health and fitness, saving up some money, creating a business plan for your new business, setting up the business, creating your first program to offer to your clients, making your first money by selling your program, quitting your job, scaling up the business. Anything you do should be connected with your big picture goals. If you constantly catch yourself working on something that is not included in your plan, not connected to your goals, you should be asking yourself if the plan needs updating to include the goals stemming from those tasks, or whether you are using your time appropriately. My friend and productivity guru, Tor Riefsland, developed a system that helps connect your big picture goals with your everyday goals. He calls it the Dumb Smart Goal System. The idea is to connect your inspirational, dreaming, uplifting, massive cojones and barely attainable, dumb, goal with the classically written smart goals that form the stepping stones to your inspirational goal. He has used this system to achieve many goals in his professional and personal life. He has also helped other people achieve their goals through this simple, but powerful system. See below. Cojones means balls in Spanish. Take your dreaming, uplifting, massive cojones and barely attainable goal and break it down into smaller manageable goals. Make them smart. Example, your dumb goal is to earn $12,000 more per year. You break the yearly goal down into 12 months, which means that you need to make $1,000 per month in order to hit your goal. This can again be broken down into smaller goals, like weeks and days. Then you identify the key income generating activities that will bring you closer to earning those $000 per month, which turns out to be activity A, B, C, D and E. Make sure they are specific, measurable, etc. Then you focus on only doing those activities that will bring you closer to your goal. If you want to become very productive so you crush your goals fast, you need master the ability of focus. The ability to enter the zone at will, where you become extremely productive in a certain period of time, can only be achieved by becoming laser-focused. In order to do that, it's essential that you, 1. Remove all distractions. 2. Know what specific task you are going to do. 3. Focus on working on the single task at hand until it's finished. If you have a big task, break it down into smaller tasks. It may seem daunting in the start, but start small in the beginning. You can do it. Find out more about Tor's goal-achieving system on his website and grab a copy of his free ebook and exclusive course on turbocharging your productivity. http://www.timemanagementchef.com/Joanna. According to Scott Dinsmore of Live Your Legend. 7. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in the world, recommends a two-list approach to goal setting. Once you've narrowed down your goals to top 25, create two lists. List A, with your top 5 goals, to which you commit yourself fully. List B, with the remaining 20. These become your avoid-at-all-cost anti-goals. Why? You have a limited amount of time and energy available. If you really want to achieve your goals, make sure you spend your time and energy on things that truly matter to you. Everything else becomes waste and hence should be avoided at all costs. If you're already underway with your goals, every time you're considering getting involved into a new project or activity, check how it fits with your big goals map/plan. And if it does, make sure you understand the connections. If it's not connected, it's likely to be not aligned with your current goals. Ask yourself an honest question: do I really want to spend my time and energy doing this? Dump, delegate, or defer. Long-term goals versus short-term goals. To be honest, scientists are not all that clear on the outcomes from short-term and long-term goals. Some studies showed that short-term goals are more likely to be achieved, but others have proven it's the other way around. At the end of the day, it really is about what works for you. As I said above, it's important to always keep in mind your big goals, which are usually long-term in nature. It improves your motivation and commitment to them. But, if you are a short-distance runner, like me, and you struggle to keep on track if you can't see the finish line, you will have problems training for a marathon, literally and metaphorically. With bigger, long-term goals, I make sure to map out milestones, breaking them down into smaller steps and have some early win/quick goals, too. This way, I can focus on what's immediately in front of me /just round the corner, knowing that I am working towards my long-term goal rather than just chasing the next shiny object. Tracking your progress. Once you've got your map/plan and your measure of success, CP. 3. Set up a tracking system. Why? Because even the best goals in the world are useless if we don't keep on track with them. The simplest way of keeping an eye on your progress is keeping your goals visible and reviewing them regularly. There are many ways in which you can keep your goals visible. Put them up on the wall, have your map/plan pinned up on the board, write down in your diary/calendar, etc. with your map/plan in front of you, schedule reviews and book them in your calendar. Choose intervals that align with your milestones and key sub-goals so that you have enough time to achieve what you've set yourself up, e.g., if you are working towards your health and fitness qualification, as in the example above, You may want to schedule quick check-ins on your progress every term. If you are writing a book and set yourself a daily or weekly writing goal, check in at those time marks. For longer-term goals or more fluid ones, such as developing a skill/ability or saving money, you can check your progress in fixed intervals, such as monthly, quarterly, yearly, etc. Always check your progress against the planned goals using the measurement you've decided on. People often ask me what tools they should use for tracking progress. My answer is, use whatever works for you. If you are a pen and paper person, like me, use it. If you prefer technology solutions, find something that may work for you. There are many apps and other software tools to help keep track of progress. They change so often, some disappear, while new apps appear. It's hard to recommend anything. Use your favorite browser to find out what's trending. Remember rule number 1, it has to be something easy to use and fit into your life. The best progress tracking software is only as good as your manual inputs. Many people find that ticking things off from their to-do lists give them satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment. If this is your case, go for it. Put a tick in your diary or beside the milestone on your map/plan, cross it off on your calendar. You can even create a timeline with your goals/deadlines on it and tick/cross them all off as you progress towards your finishing line. Goal setting is a very broad topic and there is lots of information on how to do it available out there. It may be that I've just touched the tip of an iceberg, but in this chapter, I showed you how good goal setting can improve your focus. I also walked you through the steps to effective goal setting and monitoring the progress. In the next chapter, we will look at motivation and its role in focus and concentration. I will express my views on the evergreen issue of the need to motivate yourself. I may have some shocking surprises for you. Chapter 4: Motivation, to motivate or not to motivate and why I believe getting motivated is overrated. How do I motivate myself to focus? Have you ever asked yourself or anyone else this question? Have you put any inspirational quotes up in your study/office or on your screensaver? Do you wish you could find a way to keep motivated to stay focused on your task until it's finished? You're not alone. You also may be wrong. In this chapter we will consider why motivation does not really matter in developing good focus habits, how to spot when poor motivation is affecting your focus, the most common motivation problems and how to deal with them. I will also show you how to discover your own long-lasting intrinsic motivation, and how to find motivation to complete that dreaded job at hand. Here is my little motivation secret: more often than not, your motivation is not a problem. How come? Since you've got this book and you've read it until this page, I'm sure you're not only aware you have a problem with your ability to focus, you also likely to have an idea what the nature of your problem is. You may have tried to fix it before and have made some progress. But you have not given up, you are still keen to get it sorted. All that means you are really motivated to be able to focus and remained focused. See? Your motivation may not be strong, or may be of a kind you're not happy about, but as long as you try to address your focus problem, it is there. Call me cynical if you want, but I gave up on inspirational motivational fluff long time ago. Why? Because, even though it's very important to achieving your goals in life, motivation is too unreliable. We all have goals. And what's the first thing most of us think about when we consider how to achieve them? I need to get motivated. The surprising thing? Motivation is exactly what you don't need. Motivation is short-lived and doesn't lead to consistent action. If you want to achieve your goals, then you need a plan for exactly when and how you're going to execute them. James Clear, Achieve Your Goals. 1. Motivation is a matter of feelings. Do you feel motivated to read this book? I may ask you. And if you say yes, of course, that's great. But if you are not, well, what can you do? You may want to wait to feel motivated again or look for ways to get motivated. The feeling of being motivated is just like any other feelings. It is multifactorial and complex, and hence, difficult to sustain and rely on in our day-to-day mundane life. Motivation comes and goes. Yes, we are driven by motivation. Whether it's wanting to help others, look pretty, or just minimize your efforts, Be lazy. You will be aiming doing at what you feel motivated to achieve. Moreover, it's very hard to work against your motivation. A friend of mine had a dream of helping people by making them feel happier and happier about themselves. Her parents and bigger family believed she would be an excellent doctor, so they insisted she attend medical school. So she duly did. But she was very unhappy there. She was really struggling to make herself study for long hours, or listen during lectures. She was failing exams. She was becoming sick more and more often. Yes, she felt she was studying to help others, but not quite in a way that was aligned with who she was. She valued beauty and was quite interested how our own mind and self-beliefs affected how we perceive beauty. When she dropped out of med school, she became a beautician. She felt happier helping women feel good about themselves, but still she believed there was a gap. Eventually, she went back to college to pursue qualifications in counseling. She is a very fulfilled and very successful counselor specializing in helping women discover their inner beauty and shine. Working against your motivation is not only hard, it can be heart-wrenching and soul-destroying. But often people become too attached to motivation and getting motivated. Let me say it again, it's great to feel motivated because it makes the journey toward your goals a lot easier, but it is natural that motivation fluctuates. Motivation can change depending on your mood, your sleep, your meals, physical health, hormones, stress, circumstances. Have you ever experienced a drop, or an increase, in motivation following a small setback? What about just plain passage of time? Do you still remember your New Year resolution? How did you do on that? Only about 46% of people who made New Year resolutions actually keep them after 6 months. Worse, 30% drop it after 2 weeks. Here is how unreliable motivation can be. 2. As I mentioned above, since you're reading this book, I'm assuming you have motivation to improve your focus. However, it may be that your motivation is not strong enough, or of the wrong kind. 1. How to spot poor motivation affecting your focus. As I said before, difficulty in focusing may be caused by many things, and poor motivation for the task/job at hand is one of them. How do you know it is your poor motivation that is affecting your ability to focus? Poor motivation or lack of motivation typically manifests itself by lack of energy and enthusiasm for the task you are supposed to focus on. You may be dragging your feet to start on the job, thinking I can't be bothered to do that, I don't like it, or even, I hate it. What's the point of doing this, or this is stupid/boring/useless. Or you may be even doing the actual job, while still muttering those things under your breath or out loud. The key is, for whatever reason, you don't feel motivated to focus on whatever you should be doing, despite all the potential or real consequences of not doing so. On the surface, you may procrastinate and get easily distracted by all sorts of more interesting things. Be mindful that procrastination and the tendency to get easily distracted can be frequently driven by other issues. Often people assume that procrastination equals lack of motivation for the job at hand, but this may not be the case. Procrastination can indicate a wide range of underlying issues. See Chapter 8 for more details, so do not assume your procrastination or distraction problem is in fact a motivation problem. Here are a few questions to help you decide if you have a motivation problem. Why am I doing this instead of what I should be doing? How does the task I should be working on make me feel? Lazy? Flat? Bored? Uninspired? Unmotivated? Can't be bothered/whatever? If your answer aligns with what's described above, you are likely to have a motivation problem. Remember that motivation fluctuates, even though you may not feel it right now. At some point you were interested in the job or the subject. You probably saw value in it, even if you did not like it, or found it too much of a burden. Explore your motivation for agreeing to do the job/task, or study the subject/topic in the first instance. What is it? Write it down. Let's now look at how motivation works and some common motivation problems and how to fix them. How motivation works. From the psychological point of view, motivation can either come from within the person, intrinsic motivation, or be driven by external factors, extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation can work quite well, but its appeal usually wears off after some time, or when you run out of rewards to collect. Intrinsic motivation is much more powerful and lasting. It fuels people to pursue their goals over a number of years, if not their entire lifespans. It is driven by passion, internal fire, and the deepest human desires to achieve mastery, personal fulfillment, and autonomy. These are all big words, yes, so the downside of intrinsic motivation is that it sometimes fails us in day-to-day, dull as hell situations. In order for your motivation to work well for you in the short and long run, you need a powerful, long-lasting intrinsic motivators to guide you and some short-term extrinsic strategies you can use for the day-to-day struggles. The most common motivation problem. The more I learn about it, the more I believe that the most common motivation problem is the wrong mixture of intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. Scenario 1, your dominant, or only, motivation is extrinsic in nature. How do you tell you are, mainly, driven by extrinsic motivation? As said above, extrinsic motivation relies on rewards, compensation, avoiding punishment, doing things for other people's sake, to get their approval, or praise, e.g., you're doing a job/task/project because it brings money or some other material reward, e.g., bonus payment/reward, new tools. Even as small as a bar of chocolate, you'll get an immaterial reward, trip to the beach, 30 minutes of your favorite game, employee of the month badge, promotion/good grades, to keep an important person/people, parents, boss, teachers, etc., happy, gain their approval, avoid disapproval or anger to get noticed by an influential person. You want to keep up a certain image of yourself, e.g., as someone successful, helpful, caring, or to keep up with the Joneses to avoid punishment, e.g., paying fines, being ridiculed, ostracized, rejected. These are all examples of extrinsic drivers to your actions. If you often struggle to focus because of low motivation, chances are it's because your motivation is not strong enough, which usually is a sign of extrinsic motivation being the main driver. So what's the problem? Reward-driven motivators can work, but they often turn out to be short-lived and their impact wears out quickly. If your main motivation for the task at hand is extrinsic, you are likely to experience a drop in motivation as the time goes on, or the task requires more effort. So a bar of chocolate can take you through a boring chapter or two, but may not be enough to motivate you to prepare for a large exam. The thought of becoming an employee of the month and getting a raise may give you a boost needed to complete that boring project, but you will quickly forget about it and struggle to motivate yourself again soon. What you can do to improve it: refresh/rediscover your intrinsic drivers. If you are struggling to focus because you are lacking motivation, review your motivation for doing the task at hand. It may be that you have an intrinsic motivation to pursue the overall goals, but you may have forgotten about it or can't see the wood for the trees. When I was at the university, I struggled a lot with this type of scenario. Often, my life was punctuated with exams, and all I could see was one thing to tick off after another. And while getting those exams and subjects ticked off was bringing a sense of achievement, I had to regularly remind myself of my overall goal, becoming a doctor and helping others, to boost my motivation and push through. If you find yourself being driven by external rewards, don't despair. In my experience, extrinsic motivators are often not as superficial as they seem. If you explore your reasons for pursuing what you are pursuing right now in more depth, you may find more intrinsic motives underneath. I believe that even extrinsic motivators, such as financial rewards, praise, or privileges, can be turned into or reframed as intrinsic motivators. We will look at intrinsic motivators in more depth in a minute, but to give you an idea, rewards, particularly financial, are usually about achieving financial independence, or being able to afford pursuit of hobbies or passions. Similarly, Seeking praise may be really about feeling that your job is valued by others, and further, feeling that you are contributing to the community. From this perspective, your evening coding job to earn some money may actually be a way of achieving financial independence, and hence autonomy. The marketing campaign you've volunteered for to get noticed and promoted is really about seeking mastery in the art of marketing. Look beyond the surface and the extrinsic reasons why, explore your own deeper motives. Don't feel embarrassed. This is not just an exercise in information management. Reframing your motivation really works and can have a powerful effect on your ability to push on with your work, or your studies, and focus better. To find your intrinsic motivation, seek how your current goals are connected with your deeper desires of mastering a skill or knowledge, of becoming autonomous or pursuing a noble goal, your personal mission. Discover your intrinsic motivation. Okay, you may say, but what if I don't have any intrinsic motivation? Am I doomed? No, you're not. If you haven't discovered your intrinsic motivation yet, or you have forgotten about it, you may want to embark on the Intrinsic Motivation of Discovery exercise. Intrinsic Motivation of Discovery exercise. This is a really simple exercise created more to refine or clarify your intrinsic motivation than to find a life purpose. If you feel you need to discover what your passion or personal mission is, you may need to put some time aside to discover how to do that. Intrinsic Motivation of Discovery exercise. Grab a piece of paper, or create an electronic document. 1. Ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing, e.g., Ed is working on an assignment as part of an app development course. Why? Because he wants to complete the course. 2. Write down your answer and check it against the 3 main intrinsic motivators. Can your reasons for doing this thing be described as working to achieve autonomy, mastery, or a subject, skill, area, or by pursuing a passion/a noble goal? If yes, then you've got it. 3. If not, go back to your answer and ask yourself, why? Once you've got the answer, again check it against autonomy/mastery/purpose trio. Repeat until you can clearly assign your motivation to one or more categories, e.g., why does Ed want to complete the app development course? Because he wants to develop his own app. Why? Because he wants to start his own business and make money. Why? Because he wants to earn enough money to travel and explore the world. This answer already hints at pursuit of autonomy, but we can explore even further. Why? Because he enjoys learning about other cultures and wants to be able to do that whenever he likes. Mastery and autonomy. 4. Write it down and keep it handy. Once you're clear on your intrinsic motivator, write it down and keep it handy. Go back and revisit regularly, particularly at times of struggle, when you feel this is all pointless and you'd rather be doing something else. If your motivation is truly about bigger goals, a sense of purpose, it will last. Record it for future use once you have reviewed your motivation, whether just to refresh your memory and remind yourself you have an intrinsic motivation for doing what you do, or to reframe your extrinsic drivers into more internally driven. Write it down. I suggest you write it several times in various places, just like you would do with your personal mission statement, your diary, your fridge, the welcome screen of your laptop, places where you're likely to see it often. Or, if you don't feel comfortable with this approach, put it somewhere where only you can see it, but look at it often. Remind yourself about what is really driving you to pursue your goals. Scenario 2, your dominant, or only, motivation is intrinsic in nature. How to tell you are, mainly, driven by intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation comes from within you and is powered by your own dreams, aspirations, wants, and wishes. It usually can be boiled down to the 3 following desires: mastery, autonomy, or purpose. 3. Motivation that relies on one or more of those 3 drivers tends to last longer and be more powerful. Typically, this is a type of motivation that gives people strength to pursue their dreams and aspirations, to fulfill their missions throughout their lives. Let's look at it more closely now. Mastery. The road to mastery is a great aspiration, particularly for those pursuing education or professional expertise. It also works great for hobbies. Overall, anything which is skill or knowledge-based, from learning another language, to learning to cook, to becoming the master coder, or being able to fix a car, can be an example of mastery-driven motivation. Autonomy. The desire to be autonomous is another great intrinsic motivator. Many successful people, particularly solopreneurs, are driven by financial or allocation independence, freedom to do what they love doing, or a desire to have a lifestyle they enjoy. Purpose. For many people, motivation comes from a desire to pursue or fulfill a personal mission. Passion, purpose, noble goals, however this is called, it is about having an aspirational goal, usually open-ended and not necessarily achievable within the person's lifetime. This does not have to be larger-than-life goal, but usually it is not only about you, but others and helping others. Health professionals, teachers, and counselors are often driven by this kind of intrinsic motivators. But the desire to help others can be more practical too, with personal missions such as building safe homes, or even like my old friend from med school, helping people discover their inner beauty. Many people combine more than just one driver. Often, you see a combination of pursuing the mastery of a skill in order to serve others, or achieving autonomy to pursue their mission in life. You can have all three present as well. The more, the better. Typically, a person driven intrinsically feels they do things because they want to become financially/emotionally/legally independent, want to pursue a certain lifestyle, want to help others achieve their goals, enjoy working with people/animals/plants/books/ideas/computers, love learning new stuff, or are interested in a certain subject/topic, want to be the best in the bunch/world/country at this particular thing, enjoy sharing, contributing, being part of, belonging. So what's the problem? Intrinsic motivation is great, it's the king of motivations, if I may say so. It is what makes people work for hours without even noticing they're working. It's fantastic to be powered by it, but sometimes it may be not enough. In the day-to-day struggles, we can forget about those noble goals. Often, little mundane jobs that need to be done on time limit our point of view. The physical challenges of ENT, ear, nose, and throat examination during my rotation and the brutal reality of what's inside human ear or nose left a serious dent on my intrinsic motivation to become a doctor. I was only a few months away from finishing medical school and seriously considering quitting. It took me a lot of little, extrinsic rewards, chocolate, collaborating with my study buddy, competing for better grades, and willpower to get through that rotation. For me, it is a good example of a situation where extrinsic drivers can boost intrinsic motivation. What you can do to improve it: you don't have to rely on chocolate or moping to your friends. With a carefully crafted approach, you can add little extrinsic boosters to your intrinsic motivation. You can do it in two ways, by boosting your intrinsic motivation, or by applying some short-term extrinsic strategies. Pick and choose your preferred approach, or mix and match. Refresh your intrinsic motivation. If you still remember what your intrinsic motivation for the job at hand is, a quick refresher is usually enough. Say it out loud, write it down and put up on the wall, keep it in your secret drawer. Whatever works for you. I do recommend writing it down and keeping the note handy so you can just look at it in times of doubt and motivational drain. Deploy a quick extrinsic fix. There is nothing wrong with an external motivator now and then, when needed. As long as you don't abuse it and as long as it helps you get the job done. What I tend to do depends on the situation at hand. Usually a quick reminder of the bigger purpose behind the dreaded task and a little extrinsic trick to do the job. How to find an extrinsic motivator to complete that dreaded job at hand. Many of us have our own favorite extrinsic motivators, be it a bar of chocolate, a few minutes of your fave game, or some other material reward. But if you're lacking in inspiration, here are a few ideas. Is this task connected to some reward system, be it material or non-material rewards, e.g., rankings, grades, bonus points? Can you use it to push yourself to get it done? Can you offer yourself a material or non-material reward for completing the task? Think your favorite treat, a period of time doing your favorite activity, letting yourself off the hook with a non-essential chore. Can you use it to boast or get approval/praise from anyone/someone? Important, come on, it may not be the nicest or most mature thing to do. But if it works for you and doesn't harm anyone, why not? Will you, by completing this task, avoid some sort of punishment? Such as late payment penalty, bad grade, being criticized, etc. These are just a few examples. Never do anything that may hurt or harm other people, or yourself. Be careful not to overdo it and don't use it too often. Too much extrinsic motivation can kill your intrinsic motivation and you may end up not doing much at all. This phenomenon is called motivation crowding or over-justification effect. Behavioral economists and gamification experts are particularly aware of it. Knowing that external rewards, such as money, fines, or points and badges would only affect the behavior to a certain degree, and even if the person is internally motivated to continue with the behavior, the fact that he or she is being motivated by external rewards may reduce the likelihood of him/her continuing with it. I have read about people who loved what they did so much they did it for free, but lost the drive to do it once they started being paid for the same job. Somehow, once what used to be fun became a proper job, the intrinsic motivation went down. Developing or boosting your intrinsic drivers is a great way of dealing with poor motivation and hence improving your focus. It is handy to always have a few extrinsic tricks up your sleeve in case your big goal is not quite doing the job of motivating you at the time. However, as I said at the very beginning of this chapter, motivation is by nature fluctuating and hence cannot be relied on. It is much better to build a reliable, repeatable system that would propel you into that laser-sharp focus every time you want and need it. In the next chapter, I will show you how you can build an environment that helps you focus, whatever your motivation. Part 2. Set up your focus system. Chapter 5. Build an environment that facilitates your focus. The second part of this book is dedicated to creating a robust system that will help you set your focus on an autopilot. I will cover three main aspects of a successful focus system: an environment that facilitates your focus, a body optimized for max cognitive powers, and a well-managed mind. In the first chapter, I show you how to set up an environment that is distraction-free and enhances your ability to focus so that you can get your jobs done faster, better and even enjoy it. Specifically, I will discuss why the right environment matters, and matters more than motivation, how to build focus-enhancing workspace even if you don't have an office, making your workspace ergonomic, even on a tight budget, minimizing noise, taking control of technology before it takes control of you. Oh, it's gone again. Just as you felt you were going to get that job done, your phone beeped, a message flashed on your screen, or you had to get up to find a missing file. And now, your focus is gone. You're distracted, frustrated, with your heart pounding, and your eyes skimming the environment for a clue as what you were supposed to do. You feel like screaming. How on earth are you supposed to get back to your job now? Does it feel familiar? You really want to get your job done on time, to the best of your abilities, within budget. You want to work better, faster, more effectively, because your professional success, work-life balance, and even happiness depends on it. You need to be able to get stuff done quickly, without errors, and with all your mental capacity switched on. In a nutshell, with your mental focus full on. I totally get it. But where is the blimmin' on button? Well, a few years ago during my MBA studies, I came across the concept of behavioral economics and things such as choice architecture and nudging. The idea that decision processes and environment can make us change behavior sounded hard to believe at first, but the evidence was overwhelming. Constructing narrow choice options, the way you are gently nudged toward the right one, works. The most famous example is the percentage of people who agree to become organ donors. In the countries where you have to opt in to become a donor, if you want to become an organ donor, tick here, much fewer people agree to donate their organs, compared with the countries with presumed consent. To be fair, this difference may not be just the result of the way the system is designed, but it definitely plays a role. The choice is still yours. You can opt out if you don't want to, but the way the environment of this decision-making process is set up can make an incredible difference. Okay, but what does it have to do with focus? Why the right environment matters, and matters more than motivation. I used to struggle with short attention span, and before you ask, no, I definitely do not have ADHD or AD, I'm just a victim of the plain multitasking plague. I used to spend hours on research, but in fact just chasing shiny objects and fighting boredom by jumping from one task to another, getting up to make myself a cup of tea, go to the bathroom, do this or that. It got to the point where I could only maintain my focus for a couple of minutes and was constantly staying up late to not to miss deadlines. One day, after I nearly missed a very important deadline, I decided enough was enough. No more rushes to the finish line, no more sleepless nights. No more opportunities lost to distractions and multitasking. I would chain myself to my desk if that was what I needed, I decided. I did not chain myself to the desk literally, but keeping myself physically at my desk was one of the first steps to success. With each and every step, my productivity soared. I was getting stuff done much faster, with better quality. I was able to focus instantaneously and developed an ability to work in busy airport lounges and even on the plane. To my surprise, my creativity did not die either. On the contrary, I got into a habit of sitting down to just write the next chapter without waiting for the ever-elusive inspiration. I wrote a novel during an NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, twice, one of them while working full-time, studying for my MBA, and having a family and a life as well. And as I worked on refining my system and did more research, I discovered that the most productive people, those who need to just sit down and turn their computer on to instantly become focused, shared a few commonalities. The more research I did, the clearer it became, the secret to instant focus that lasts until you're ready to finish your job for the day is the right environment. So stop blaming yourself and cursing your willpower, and dump that quest for motivation. You're not lazy or stupid, you've been misguided. Most people think that when it comes to focusing on work, study, a book, whatever it is you should be doing, the key is motivation. But you already know motivation is based on emotions, the way we feel in the moment, and hence, by nature ever-changing, unreliable, and elusive. Join the uber-productive crew, redesign your environment. If you have done your distraction logs, as I suggest in Chapter 2, you will have an idea where your specific focus difficulties are. I am assuming, since you are reading this chapter, that your environment is likely to be a potent source of all sorts of anti-focus traps. Let's fix them one by one now. Create a brain powers boosting workspace even if you don't have an office. Where do you usually work or study? Do you have your own study or workspace? Is it a desk or a table? Do you have your own study room/office? Or do you share it with anyone? And if you are a student, do you use communal study areas, like libraries or student quiet rooms? Whatever it is, you need to make sure your workspace is geared to support your ability to concentrate on the job at hand. If you tend to work/study while lying in bed, or sitting on a sofa, or somewhere else, consider shifting to a proper work or study space, preferably a desk, or a table and a comfortable chair. Beds are for sleeping, sofas are for relaxing and slouching. If you have been trying to learn/work in bed or on the sofa and wondering why you can't focus properly, here is your answer. Your study area or workstation, and your desk in particular, are critical to your overall performance. You'll know what I'm talking about if you ever tried working on a coffee table or a really hard chair with your computer screen too high and a window behind you flooding your monitor with glare. Okay, I can hear you say, but I learn best when I'm sitting comfortably on the sofa. I've been working in the library/garden/cafes and it's fine. Or I don't have a dedicated study/office, I need to manage with what I've got. Fair enough, not everyone can afford to have a specific room dedicated to intellectual work. And of course, it's always down to whatever works for you individually. But workspace does not have to be big or fancy, it can be as simple as a dining table, which you can use at specific times. Or an old-school desk in a corner of your shed/garage. And for those who use public space, libraries, study/quiet rooms, or even cafes and public gardens, I'd urge you to try and use those tips, too. Or you may want to try to set up a study/workspace in your own home. For all of you, skeptical of what I'm suggesting, you can always run an experiment, measuring your ability to focus as expressed by your productivity, time spent on your task/job until completion or other outcome, when working in your usual space and by working in an environment set up as I suggest below. How to build a focus-enhancing workspace. Even if you don't have an office, if you have an office or a study room, you may have the problem solved. Or not, as it is in my case. Even though we do have an office in our house, I don't like that space. It's freezing cold on dull days, always cluttered, and it's full of my husband's stuff. I only use the office when I have something to record or a piece of work that needs doing during the weekend. I much prefer the dining table. I have my own little cabinet when I keep my work stuff so that I can quickly get it out and then put away when needed. So what's a good working space? Some of you may like it warmer or cooler, brighter or duller, with the window facing the garden or a blank garage wall. There are factors that depend on your preferences. But this is what the most productive people recommend: quiet space. It does not have to be in complete silence, but the level of noise should not disturb you. Typical culprits include street noise, animals or people, house appliances, TV/radio/other sources of music, and other noise. As distraction-free as possible, this is quite individual and I'd recommend you test if it works for you or not. Where other people can't disturb you, the point here is to limit/eliminate any opportunity for others approaching you just to ask you a question, since you're sitting here, or wanting to chat, or even saying hello when passing by. This is particularly difficult if you're working in a shared office, an open space office, or a communal/family area. Ideally, try to find a space where you would not be disturbed. If you can't, check Chapter 9 for tips on dealing with distraction in your environment. Some productivity fanatics like their workspace/offices to be completely deprived of anything that can potentially distract them: pictures, family photographs, view from the window. I've heard/read of people working while facing an empty, white wall. This may be too extreme for you, but look around your workspace and check if there is anything in the environment that has ever distracted you. Maybe it's that wobbling table leg, or a squeaky chair. Or maybe that holiday photograph on your desk. Observe and eliminate or minimize if possible. Making your workspace ergonomic, even on a tight budget. Ergonomics is a discipline concerned with human factors, interactions with environment, and optimization of human well-being and overall system performance. The physical domain of ergonomics focuses on the human body at work, posture, handling of material, workplace layout, lighting, etc. The benefits of an ergonomically correct workspace have long been documented for overall health and injury prevention. However, studies have shown that a properly organized and set up workstation can also increase productivity by up to 40%. Simple changes in desk height or keyboard positioning can decrease fatigue and strain, while organizing items that are most needed or used often into a reachable workspace can decrease the amount of time and effort needed for each task. Oftentimes the changes needed to increase both your focus and productivity can be done in less than an hour, without any extra equipment. As a physical therapist working in a clinic dedicated to issues involving back and neck pain, I am constantly working with patients to find the right setup and position for their desk area or workspace, and in the past 5 to 10 years the increased use of laptops and mobile devices has only accelerated the problem. Simply by taking the time to adjust their workstations, my clients have seen decreased levels of pain, fatigue, and stress while also reporting improved focus and productivity both at home and at work. Sean Sumner MPT, OCS lead physical therapist for the UC Davis Spine Center in Sacramento, California, and author of the Super Spine series available on Amazon. Ergonomically organized workspace is not only about preventing injury or illness, but actually about improving productivity. Not convinced yet? Try writing your report/assignment on a coffee table, or reading in a dark room. Not to mention messy desks, disorganized files, and disappearing office supplies. Ergonomically organized workspace is more than just making sure your desk is well lit and your chair comfy. It is also about organization of your worktop, positioning of your computer, and other things. Here is an example of an ergonomically set workspace. An example of an ergonomic workspace 1. How to organize your desk/work surface. Let's start with your desk, or some other work surface. Your desk, or table, or whatever surface you are using should support your key tasks, so it needs to be comfortable for whatever you do most often. For the majority of office workers, students, and other intellectually working souls, this will be writing, reading, and computer-based tasks. Your desk, and for the sake of simplifying things from now on, when I refer to your desk, I also mean the table or some other work surface you use, should have a height that suits your height and supports a good posture. The idea is that you don't slouch or strain your neck or shoulders while working. The height of your desk should be comfortable for writing and typing. How do you know that? Sit at your workstation the way you usually do and do what you're supposed to be doing. How long before you can feel some body discomfort? If you can work fully concentrated for at least 60 minutes, without feeling any body discomfort, your workspace may be okay. But to double-check, go over the points below to make sure your workspace is ergonomic. But if your back is sore, your neck strained, your eyes itching, or you have any other body discomfort, you're likely to need to rearrange your workspace. Here are a few steps to go through to ensure your workspace is ergonomic. Adjust the height of your desk if you can, but if not, don't despair. You can manipulate the height of your chair much more easily. Adjust your chair. See the picture above for some tips on the ideal position for your feet and the correct angles for your knees. Adjustable height chairs are very popular and you can get them at a reasonable price. If you have a fixed height chair, you can try to adjust it with such DIY tricks as cushions for too low or footrests for too high seats. But if you plan to spend a lot of time at your workstation, focusing on your work for long hours, getting a comfortable chair can help you maintain good posture and focus. The ideal scenario is an ergonomic chair with adjustable seat height and adjustable backrest. The backrest should be set as far forward as possible, as the further back you put it, the more likely you are to slouch. Chairs with special support for your lower back are great, but expensive. A cheaper or free alternative is a rolled-up towel attached to the lower part of your backrest, or just a cushion/pillow tucked behind your lower back. It's good to have armrests, too, and a cushion if your chair is hard. Chairs that can swivel and roll will save you energy and time when reaching for stuff not within your immediate reach, so consider these features as well. Optimize your worktop/desktop. The way our stuff is arranged on the desktop/worktop matters, too. You want to have stuff you use most often easy to reach and avoid unnecessary clutter. Start with identifying your optimal viewing and normal reach zones. Once you're sitting comfortable at your desk, pull up to the edges of your worktop and look ahead. What you can see is your optimal viewing zone. Everything you need for that particular working/study session should be within this zone and nothing more. Then, reach each arm out to the side of your body and move across the desk until your hands meet in the middle, as if drawing a semicircle just in front of you. This is your normal reach zone. This is where you should keep all the stuff you use most frequently. The key message is that your desktop/worktop is for stuff that you require for this particular job you're doing right now, and nothing more. Before you start every task, particularly more time-consuming tasks, or batches of similar tasks. Think what you need to complete the tasks and place it in your optimal viewing and normal reach zones. Everything else should be put away/hidden from view. 2. How to position your computer/laptop. Your keyboard and mouse should be as close together as possible without getting in the way. Position the alphanumeric part, the one you use most often, right in front of your eyes. If you type a lot, think about the health of your wrists. Ergonomics specialists advise placing the keyboard and mouse at the height that would not cause you to bend your wrists. Some people swear by mouse pads and keyboard wrist rests. I find it clunky, so check if it works for you. Monitor. A well-positioned monitor is at an arm length away from you, so you can touch it from where you're sitting, and with the top 1/3 of your monitor at your eye level. See the picture. If it's not, there are multiple ways of adjusting the height of your monitor, ranging from special adjustable height stands to just tucking a couple of books under your monitor. Once you're done with the height, make sure there is no glare, checking the screen when lit with your usual sources of light, natural, as well as artificial. 3. How to set up the lighting. Bad lighting can tire your eyes, and lead to dry or irritated eyes, which obviously can affect your ability to focus. For general use, glare-free, ambient light should be okay. Use additional light for reading/writing or any other specific work requiring good lighting. Look for low glare, adjustable lamps and position your lamp to the side of your computer, so that it illuminates your workspace but does not cause glare on your screen. Mind the intensity of light. Too much of it will cause the screen to appear washed out. If you are using natural light, make sure you are positioned in a way that does not tire your eyes, e.g., light right into your eyes. Watch out for direct light coming from windows, as this can cause glare. 2. Use blinds or curtains to control the amount of light, or if needed, change the position of your desk or your monitor. 4. Minimize noise. Noise is a big distractor, but often underestimated. Studies done on the effects of background noise, ambient noise, at home, work, or school, show that even if unnoticed, this levels of noise can affect our ability to concentrate, increasing stress levels and affecting our health. Sadly, humans do not habituate to noise, and the longer we continue to work in a noisy environment, the more it affects our ability to focus and our performance. 2,3. Sensitivity to noise is individual. Some of us are more sensitive to it, some less. Many people find so-called white noise, undistinguishable, low-level background hums, murmurs, etc., helpful when trying to concentrate. Some people swear by focus-boosting music. Find out what works best for you. It's great if you are able to create a low-noise environment for your work/study. But often this is not possible, because it's out of your control. However, if your environment is noisy, you can still do something about it. Here is a list of tools you can try to see if it helps with noise. Noise-canceling headphones. Any headphones or earplugs. Earphones/headphones with music, without lyrics, because lyrics usually create distractions by dragging us into the story or evoking memories. Or white noise. You can find audio files with white noise or concentration-boosting music on the net. Whatever you use, always make sure it helps you focus rather than distracts you. Take control of technology before it takes control of you. Last but not least, the biggest killer of focus, technology. Technology can help you manage your time and productivity, but the reality is often different. If you remember from Chapter 1, we have two types of attention, automatic and intentional. The automatic one is fine-tuned to detect any change in the environment, as this may potentially mean danger. That's why automatic attention turns our focus to anything that flashes, pings, jumps, or makes any other sudden movement or appearance. And technology around us is designed to flash, ping, jerk, vibrate, ring. That's why technology is becoming the #1 killer of focus. The truth is simple but brutal. If you want to improve your ability to concentrate on whatever you do, you must control the way you use technology and not let it control you. Here are a few simple steps to help you regain control over your technological devices. Turn off notifications, email, social media, text messages, any updates, Do your security updates before or at scheduled times. Generally speaking, anything that can make an unexpected appearance, whether visual or sound, can kill your focus. You can choose to have your notifications off at all times, or only at times of intense work. Set up specific times for checking and responding to your messages. Productivity gurus typically advise a limited number of checks/day, usually twice, once at the beginning and once at the end of the workday. If it's unrealistic for you, do whatever works for you. You can use your breaks, as long as it doesn't take more than a few minutes and is not too emotionally engaging, so you don't waste time and energy on calming down and refocusing when the break is over. Put your phone on silent or turn it off completely, unless you are expecting an important call. Let your messages go to the answering machine. If you decide to limit your access to email, phone, social media etc., it may be good to schedule a time when you attend to it and let people know about it. Record your own voicemail and out-of-office messages, informing callers, emailers, etc., when you usually check your messages/emails. You may also want to set up an urgent access channel, e.g., mobile phone, for all those messages that cannot wait until your next checking-in session and let people know about it, e.g., if this message is urgent, you can reach me at. Limit the time you spend on the internet. This may sound obvious, but many people don't realize how much time they waste just browsing the net or doing research. Measuring how much time you spend on the net can be quite enlightening and reinforce your decision to cut down on it. If you're struggling to resist the temptation of just one more quick look, install access blocking software, such as Stay Focused, Leech Block, Rescue Time, Self-Control, or you just turn off your internet connection. Alternatively, try working in full screen mode, or use an app such as Writeroom or Concentrate, or just simply close any other application. Put a limit on your research. Whether you use the internet or more traditional resources, the pursuit of information/knowledge can turn into a never-ending chase after the next shiny object or the elusive perfect piece of evidence. I tend to fall into that trap, too, so I've developed a system to limit the amount of time I spend. I have a database of trustworthy sources bookmarked and try to stick to them while gathering information. I take notes to monitor not only how much I've got, but also if I'm getting the same stuff or any new information. I aim for a good range of quality sources, but when I see the same evidence or information being mentioned again, I know it's time to stop my research. Minimize the clutter on your screen/desktop. The same principles apply to your computer screen/desktop. Too much clutter can eat up a lot of time and distract you from what you should be doing. First of all, don't have it all on your desktop. Yes, I have seen people have gazillions of icons on their desktops and struggle to find what they needed. Minimize the number of icons and shortcuts you keep handy. Don't keep it all loose in your documents, either. Group your documents into folders, ideally reflecting your filing system. Choose one method of organization and stick with it. If you use two systems, electronic and paper, make sure you put the same names on the corresponding paper and electronic folders. I have folders corresponding the major project, past and current. I also have folders where I put clippings, articles, and any other ideas related to projects I want to work on at some point in the future. If you use some sort of inbox folder to hold all those documents and other matters that still need to be dealt with, move the documents to the appropriate folder as soon as you have dealt with it, or at specified cleanup times. I use desktop for all those current/open tasks. Work in a full screen mode, or use apps that simulate it, e.g., Stay Focused, Leech Block, Rescue Time, Self-Control. Timothy Kenny has an excellent system to help him organize his workload. The key to focus: isolate your roles. It's hard to stay focused when you have a bunch of different projects competing for your time. Here's how I keep it all organized. I split up everything I do into one of 4 main categories. Those are career, personal, relationships, and health. There is also a 5th category, which is a meta-level, which is meant to organize and integrate the 4 main categories. Each day of the week I focus on one category. Monday is career, Tuesday is relationships, Wednesday is health, Thursday is personal, and Friday is the meta category. For each day, I have a different set of bookmarks that I check in my browser. I create a folder of bookmarks for each day of the week, and on each day I open the bookmarks for that day and do a checkup. When I have to shift into a role for a special activity, like teaching a course, I create a whole different user account on my computer. This helps me keep my desktop organized so that there are only shortcuts to the programs and folders I need for that role. Other roles include video editing, music production, and web design. Any major role you have can become its own user account. By keeping things separate, you increase your focus and efficiency while taking on each role. Instead of trying to block out the 90% of stuff that isn't relevant to your current role, you can switch to a new account that shows you just the tool you need to get the job done. Get started now. Think of one major role you have outside of your day-to-day activities, and create a second user account just for that activity. 1. Delete everything on the desktop except the programs and folders you really need. 2. Find a high-quality wallpaper image that represents that role and set it as your desktop background. 3. Find an image you can use for the user profile image. All set. You're ready to go. Timothy Kenny, author of Accelerated Learning for Entrepreneurs. Chapter 6: Optimize Your Body to Max Out Your Cognitive Powers. Disclaimer: the author is not an expert in any of the areas discussed in this chapter. The information in this book is intended for educational and informational purposes and applies to adult, non-pregnant, non-breastfeeding healthy individuals, and should not be treated as advice. It has been compiled from medically reviewed websites. See resource section for more details. It is not meant to, and should not be used to diagnose or substitute for medical advice and treatment. You should check with your healthcare provider before trying any new exercises, introducing any changes in your diet, sleep, or arrangements relating to your body position. All attempts have been made to verify the information provided in this chapter, but the author and the publisher do not assume any responsibility for errors, omissions, or contrary interpretations of the subject matter herein. The author or the publisher are not responsible for any specific health needs that may require medical supervision or attention, and is not liable for negative consequences from actions resulting from reading or following the information provided in this chapter. If you have any specific questions about any medical or nutritional matter, consult your doctor or other healthcare provider. Seek immediate medical attention if you think you may be suffering from any medical or mental health condition. Never delay seeking medical advice, disregard medical advice, or discontinue treatment because of the information provided below. This chapter zooms in on your body. Why? Because there are close connections between our body and our mind. We may not know exactly how it all works together, but we've been exploring that from ancient times. Hippocrates and his followers made the first attempts to understand the complex connections between mental and physiological processes. Ancient Romans had a motto, mens sana in corpore sano, a sane mind in a sound body. Throughout history, doctors, scientists, and philosophers have been trying to explain those connections. Although there are still some unknowns, science can now tell us what aspects of our body and physiological processes influence learning, thinking, and memory. I will show you how you can improve your mental performance and your focus in particular by addressing the following aspects. Ergonomics of your body. A good night's sleep breaks nutrition. Exercise. First, let's look at how you can improve the ergonomics of your body for better cognitive performance. If you're reading this chapter, it's likely your distraction logs highlighted that your body can get in the way of your focus. How often do signals from your body get through to you and disrupt your attempts to focus? What is it? What gets your attention most often? The most common causes for your body to scream for attention are uncomfortable position, aches and pain, particularly within the back area, tiredness, which is usually due to insufficient rest, whether in the form of breaks or the night's rest/sleep, hunger, or more precisely, low blood glucose levels, low energy, which may be the result of low glucose level, or an overall sense of sluggishness or lethargy. Let's look at some solutions to those problems, then. How to prevent back pain and other problems with uncomfortable position. Back pain and strain injuries are one of the most common workplace problems. Aches and pains from your uncomfortable body, whether it's your back, neck, wrists or feet, are hard to ignore, too. Ironically, I had some neck pain while writing this chapter, a strain from having to work at a badly designed workstation the day before, and it disrupted my work process considerably. I had to get up and stretch every few minutes. It pays to make sure that your workstation, desk, table, work surface, is designed in an ergonomic way, adapted to your specific needs. For tips on how to create an ergonomic workspace, check Chapter 5. How to deal with tiredness. To paraphrase the ancient proverb quoted above, in a tired body, the spirit is tired, too. We need rest in order to function, and our brain is one of the reasons why we need downtime. Two main aspects of rest and restoration when it comes to work, and intellectual work in particular, are sleep, which is crucial for learning and memory formation, breaks, which are important to keep up good concentration. In a nutshell, in order to be able to focus, we need to sleep and take breaks. Let's look at how to do it now. Sleep. I'm sure you know that sleep deprivation affects your level of alertness and hence your ability to focus. Simply speaking, in order to be able to think, read, listen to stuff, process information, and remember it, your brain needs a decent amount of sleep. During sleep, our brain goes over the neural pathways created during learning and practice, strengthening what we have learned that day, whether it is study material, new foreign vocabulary, or how to operate that fancy new tablet or an app. Sleep deprivation also affects your judgment, ability to concentrate, think, and carry out many tasks. How much sleep do we need? An average adult, according to the National Sleep Foundation, needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Some people can function on less, some need more. Anything less than 6 hours is not recommended and can be dangerous, particularly for a prolonged period of time. If your sleep does not fall within the normal limits, or you have any other problems with your sleep, you should talk to your doctor about it. Acute sleep deprivation and its effects on your ability to focus, learn, and work is often obvious. One sleepless night impairs our performance as much as having 0.10% of alcohol in your blood, above legal driving limits in any country. But people who suffer from chronic sleep debt often get used to these states, habituate, and hence they may feel like they can function well intellectually. Sadly, more often than not, their judgment of their ability to attend to mental tasks requiring attention, concentration, and good memory are often impaired. They rate themselves higher than they actually perform. If you don't sleep as much as you should, you create sleep debt, which, like any other debt, accumulates and need to be paid off. What's the price of not paying off your sleep debt? There are multiple costs, some of them quite dangerous, including impaired coordination or sleepiness when operating machinery or driving. And many of them affect your concentration and other mental powers. So if you are suffering from forgetfulness, working memory lapses, confusion, impaired attention, irritability, you may need to look at how much sleep you have had over the last few days and make sure you can catch up on your ZZZ as soon as you can. How to improve your sleep. Be mindful of how much you sleep. Keep a diary, if you need to. Make a resolution to go to bed earlier, or let yourself sleep in when possible. In crunch times, e.g., exam time, important projects with pressing deadline, if you have to work long hours/stay up late, consider recharging during the day with power naps. Power naps are short, 15 to 20-minute naps designed to reset your brain. The key to success with power naps is not to fall into a deep sleep and avoid starting a sleep cycle that you are not able to complete, and which will cause you to wake up feeling groggy, drowsy, and anything but mentally sharp. You may need to do some testing to determine what your optimal length of nap is, but as a rule of thumb, anything longer than 30 minutes increases the risk of waking up feeling groggy. Set your alarm. Use quiet rooms, eye masks, and make sure you are warm enough to increases your chances of restorative. Use sleep hygiene advice for better sleep. You can find good sleep hygiene advice on the National Sleep Foundation website. You will find the link in the resources section. Breaks are important, too, not only to prevent tiredness, but also to maintain focus. If you remember from Chapter 1, we can focus on something intentionally for about 10 minutes. Obviously, taking a break every 10 minutes is not practical, however pushing on for too long is not good for our mental performance either. Nathaniel Kreitman, a sleep researcher, discovered that, 4, we operate in 90-minute cycles of activity and rest, during the night and day. This phenomenon has been called ultradian rhythm by other researchers. Tony Schwartz, the author of The Way We're Working Isn't Working, and many other productivity experts, recommends working in 60 to 90-minute periods, 5, to maximize on this rhythm. I have tried it too, and I admit I tend to last around 60 minutes before I need to get up and stretch or just walk around for a couple of minutes. It's because I think best when I'm moving, and because my back needs a break more often. Overall, as with anything, I recommend you find your own sweet spot, testing the length of your optimal focus period before you take a break. But as a rule of thumb, do not exceed 90 minutes. Here are some suggestions for how to take an effective break. Take short, about 5-minute, breaks every 60 to 90 minutes, get up and move around. Don't get engaged in any activity requiring intellectual effort. Your brain is running low on productivity, or may result in emotional states you don't want to waste time trying to calm down afterwards. Light, mundane tasks, such as some house chores or making yourself a cup of tea, are perfect. Take a longer, 20 to 30-minute, break every 2-3 hours. You can use it for a quick snack, or a longer lunch meal. Change of scenery and some movement work well here. If you're working long days, you may want to use one of your longer breaks for exercise. Breaks are for recharging, so don't do any important work or any work-related activities when on a break. The key here is not to initiate any activity that would engage you emotionally, mentally, or overtly physically, so you don't have then calm yourself or otherwise waste time to refocus. So, avoid emotionally difficult conversations with your nearest and dearest, or phone calls to that lousy customer service that hasn't responded to your complaint, or water cooler chats with a colleague you don't like. If you've got a problem with short attention span, and display other symptoms of ADHD or AD, you may need to consult your doctor/health practitioner. However, if you're otherwise healthy but struggling to extend your focus beyond the 10 minutes mark, check Chapter 10 for more suggestions on how to improve your attention span. How to eat for optimum cognitive performance. In order to work fast, your brain needs a steady supply of ready-to-use fuel. Why? Because the brain's job is to think, not to process food. And also, the brain does not have any food storage capacity. The fuel in this case is glucose. In practice, the brain utilizes about 120 grams of glucose, or 420 kilocalories, 1,760 kilojoules, per day, irrespective of how much thinking or learning we are doing. 6. The tricky bit is that the supply of the fuel needs to be steady. Why? Because both a drop and a high in blood glucose can have a negative effect on the ability to concentrate. A drop in glucose levels in your blood, even if you are overall healthy, is likely to make you feel tired, nervous, restless, and unable to concentrate and think clearly. On the other hand, a sudden spike in blood glucose is not good for your brain either. A snack high in carbs or a sweet drink can give you an initial boost in energy, but this peak in glucose level in your blood will be quickly brought down by insulin, assuming you don't have any metabolic/diabetic problems, resulting in another low. You're likely to go searching for another sugar fix, resulting in another sugar high and subsequent low. This yo-yo effect, although it may initially help you to focus, is not good for longer-term work endure. Overall health. What you eat and how you eat is important to effective focus and other mental capabilities. Read on to learn more about focus-enhancing nutrition. Here are some suggestions for focus-boosting nutrition. 1. Eat brain-friendly food. As I said above, brain food is simple and plain glucose. It's practically the only nutrient our brain is able to use. Without any food storage capacity, the brain needs a continuous supply of glucose. But glucose is a simple sugar and disappears quickly from our bloodstream. So we need to eat something that would release glucose in a continuous way without harmful highs and lows. How can you ensure your brain is fed appropriately? By eating so-called brain-friendly food. Complex carbohydrates, complex sugars, are great for providing slow-release glucose. Foods in this group include grains and whole grain breads and pastry, starchy vegetables such as potatoes, corn, and pulses, beans, peas, lentils. Proteins are also important, although not a direct source of brain food. Fats are a rich source of energy that is slowly released, so it acts as storage in times of starvation. Omega-3 fatty acids, present in some fish, mackerel, herring, tuna, salmon, and nuts, may help improve concentration and academic ability. Antioxidants, nutrients of various kinds, whose main role is to get rid of free radicals, which damage brain cells. Foods rich in antioxidants are berries, cherries, citrus and other fruits, and vegetables, such as spinach, broccoli, carrots, some herbs and spices, onion, garlic, cinnamon, basil, and some kinds of tea, green and white. 2. Avoid brain-unfriendly food. Simple sugars, simple carbohydrates, such as sweets, biscuits, fruit, juice, and jams are like an injection of fuel that causes a temporary boosting energy, but is used up or stored away by insulin quickly and causes a low, not good. Junk food is not only calorie-rich and nutrition-poor, but also rich in saturated trans fats, which are considered to have adverse effect on cognition. 3. Be smart about how you eat. How to eat is as important as what to eat when it comes to brain-friendly nutrition. As we already know, the key to a steady intellectual workout is a steady supply of glucose. Eating 3 meals a day, even if well-balanced, still creates 3 spikes of glucose highs in our system, leading to lows a couple of hours after the meal. A morning and afternoon tea, or a small snack, should keep the blood glucose levels steady. It's best to eat something with complex carbs and some protein to keep a steady supply of glucose for the brain. A grain and nuts bar, low-fat yogurt with muesli, or a slice of wholemeal bread with cheese should keep us going until the next meal. 4. What about caffeine and other mental enhancers? Now, a quick note on the effects of caffeine, and some energy drinks, on cognitive performance, and hence focus. Many people look for some magic potion that would instantly improve their mental powers. And while researchers and marketers, more the latter than the former, keep coming up with the new magic potions or devices, those magic cures are more likely to be another hype rather than bring actual, repeatable and measurable results. Don't get me wrong, I would love to know that magic trick which will improve my memory and ability to learn and think clearly. But judging by the state of science today, we still have some work to do. Below is a short summary of current evidence behind some commonly used legal non-prescription substances. Check the resources section for suggestions on where to find more details. Caffeine. There is an extensive body of research on the effects of caffeine on physical and mental performance. The results are not as powerful as some coffee lovers may wish. Here is a summary of a number of studies I have sifted through. Caffeine in moderate amounts in healthy, non-pregnant adult individuals can delay fatigue during exercise/physical activity by increasing energy availability and decreasing the sense of effort needed for the activity. Usually, improves reaction time. Does not usually affect long-term memory, but may have positive or negative effects on short-term working memory. Facilitates learning in tasks in which information is presented passively, e.g., you're watching an educational video or listening to a podcast/ebook, but has no effect in tasks where material is learned intentionally, e.g., you trying to find a solution to your problem. Appears to improve our working memory when we're tired or sleep-deprived and in lighter tasks. At low doses, improves mood and reduces anxiety, while at high doses, there is an increase in tense arousal, including anxiety. nervousness, and jitteriness, which subsequently impact cognitive performance indirectly. Caffeine may have a negative effect on sleep, resulting in daytime sleepiness. Energy drinks. There is a wide variety of energy drinks available on the market. They all contain a number of ingredients for which very little information is available. Overall, the evidence is not strong or conclusive enough regarding their effects on mental and physical performance. 11. And there appear to be considerable risks associated with their use/abuse, particularly when used with alcohol. 11. And for young people. 12. I do not use them personally and do not recommend using. Apply your own good judgment. 4. Boost your cognitive performance with exercise. I guess you probably already know how exercise can benefit our physical and mental health, but boosting cognitive performance? Really? Yes, really. Exercise boosts our cognitive performance, and there is plenty of evidence to support that. In his fantastic book Brain Rules, 7, John Medina, a developmental molecular biologist, presents unshakable evidence of the impact of exercise on our aging, memory, executive functions and many other cognitive powers. The brain appears to be designed to solve problems related to surviving in an unstable outdoor environment, and to do so in nearly constant motion. I encourage you to read John Medina's book. It's life-changing. It has definitely changed mine. I read it at the time when I was really struggling to function intellectually and creatively. I was going through a personal crisis and really needed to be at the top of my game, only to find that my brain was failing me. I felt constantly tired, overworked, and struggled to get stuff done. In an attempt to improve my well-being, I started cutting down on my commitments, limited my social engagements, said no to some new opportunities, and started sleeping more, which helped to some extent. Yet, I was still feeling tired, to the point I was feeling too tired to walk to and from work, so I started using my car and more convenient buses. To my unpleasant surprise, it did not help much, and worse, my cognitive performance started to spiral down. I was catching myself sitting at my laptop, staring at an email or an article and really struggling to understand what it all meant. My memory was getting really poor, to the point I thought that maybe I was developing early dementia. At that time I was working on one of my video courses, Crack Your Learning Code, Learn Faster, Remember for Longer, and wanted to jam-pack it with up-to-date scientific evidence, so I picked up Brain Rules by John Medina. But as I was going through the chapters, I discovered that my lifestyle at this time was far from brain-friendly. This was an eye-opening read. It made me realize that by not exercising, however tired I felt, I was actually further impairing my intellectual performance. Following the enlightening evidence Medina presents, I started making changes in my lifestyle, even though it felt a little counterintuitive at times. The most powerful effect was created by regular exercise. My memory improved, my creative thinking blossomed again, and on top of that, my mood and ability to cope with stress also got better. I have been running regularly ever since, and if I happen to not be able to run for longer than a couple of weeks, I can see how my ability to think clearly and remember things slips back. In a nutshell, Medina quoted multiple studies, spread across ages and stages, but the evidence is clear. People who led active lifestyles performed better at tasks such as long-term memory, reasoning, attention, problem-solving, executive function, spatial tasks, reaction times, and quantitative skills than those with sedentary lifestyles. Moreover, if you start exercising regularly, your cognitive powers improve, and they go down again to the pre-exercise levels when you stop. What does it mean? Exercise is the cheapest and easiest cognitive enhancer available. Exercise boosts our cognitive performance by increasing the oxygen flow into the brain and by boosting the creation, survival, and resistance of brain cells. Sedentary lifestyles are likely to lead to cognitive decline, no matter what age. So how much exercise should we do? How often? What kind? I am not an exercise or fitness expert, but from what I found out, in a nutshell, the amount and type of exercise depends, and it varies individually. First of all, your exercise routine needs to be adapted to your current fitness level and your overall health. Don't try to go straight into the doing a half marathon mode. If you are not exercising much right now, you may need to build up your fitness level slowly, gradually. There is lots of advice on what to do and how to do it out there. If you have any health concerns or doubts, seek advice from your doctor. Studies show that 30 minutes 2 to 3 times per week of aerobic exercise, running, brisk walking, swimming, etc., can help boost your cognitive powers. Adding a strengthening program to it will further improve it. Remember, individual effects vary. Please consult your doctor before embarking on any serious, rigorous exercise. But don't overdo it, either. Too much exercise and exhaustion can hurt cognition. In this chapter, we explored ways of improving your cognitive performance, and your focus in particular, by helping your body function at the top of the game. We discussed how you can boost your mental powers through improving the ergonomics of your posture, good sleep, effective breaks, brain-friendly nutrition, and exercise. In the next chapter, I will walk you through strategies for managing your mind for a laser-sharp focus. Chapter 7. Your mind. Manage your mind for a laser-sharp focus. Disclaimer: the author is not an expert in any of the areas discussed in this chapter. The information in this book is intended for educational and informational purposes and applies to adult, non-pregnant, non-breastfeeding, healthy individuals and should not be treated as advice. All attempts have been made to verify the information provided in this chapter, but the author does not assume any responsibility for errors, omissions or contrary interpretations of the subject matter herein. Neither the author nor the publisher assumes any responsibility for any specific health needs that may require medical supervision or attention, and is not liable for negative consequences from actions resulting from reading or following the information provided in this chapter. If you have any specific questions about any medical or nutritional matter, consult your doctor or other healthcare provider. It has been compiled from medically reviewed websites. See resource section for more details. It is not meant to, and should not be used to diagnose or substitute for medical advice and treatment. You must not rely on this information as an alternative to seeking advice from your healthcare provider. If you have any specific questions about any mental and emotional problems, consult your doctor or other healthcare provider. Seek immediate medical attention if you think you may be suffering from any medical or mental health condition. Never delay seeking medical advice. Disregard medical advice, or discontinue treatment because of the information provided below. In this chapter we will look at focus problems that originate from your mind. The most common of those internal stimuli are thoughts and emotions. If you came to this chapter following advice from Laser Sharp Focus Roadmap, then you're already aware of what your mind-bound problems are. However, if you lack this clarity, I'd urge you to run a distraction log for a few days and analyze the results. The clearer you are on what's getting in the way of your focus, the more targeted your intervention will be, and hence the more effective. How to manage your emotions and use them for a more powerful memory. Have you ever tried focusing on reading your textbook just before your exam, or when you had an exciting date in a couple of hours? And what about attending a presentation on the day of your first product launch? How much do you remember from it? I wouldn't be surprised if, unless you repeated the reading or listened to the presentation again at a later date, you did not remember much. Anxiety, excitement, and anticipation probably took over your ability to pay full attention and learn. Focus can only happen if you are able to be in control of your mind and can direct your attention to concentrate on the chosen thing. Emotions are powerful. They can take over your mind and flood you with equally powerful physiological effects of them. resulting in you being taken over by whatever your emotional mind is dictating. In order to be receptive to focus, you need to be in control of your mind. You may have heard of rational mind and emotional mind or thinking. To focus, you need your rational, cool, analytical, decision-making mind well in control. In order to achieve that, you need to manage your emotional side, impulsive, energetic, keen to take action. If you want to be able to focus at any time, for a decent length of time, you need to be able to control your emotions. Emotions are very important when it comes to concentration and focus. Why? Because emotions attract our attention. We pay attention to anything that's emotional, negatively or positively, joy, happiness, or fear, anger. Emotions can hold sway over our ability to focus. Positive as much as negative, they can seriously play with your mind and diminish your ability to think, process information, and concentrate. There is another, more sneaky way emotions can drive your attention away from what you should be doing. Emotions are like shiny, colorful buttons on the gray, boring fabric of our mundane reality. If you are working on something monotonous and dry, your attention is likely to fall for something more colorful and lively, like all those cute animal videos on Facebook. The reward is immediate, joy, happiness, or even fear and anger, unlike the postponed reward from getting your job done. Your search for emotional stimulation can fuel procrastination. On the other hand, as I said above, we pay attention to anything that is emotional. That means emotions can enhance our ability to be attentive and remember. The trick is to find that sweet spot where your emotional state enhances rather than hinders your cognitive powers. How to manage emotions so that they don't get in the way of your focus. Preventatively, if you find yourself being overwhelmed by your emotional state, be it a stressful situation in your professional or personal life, an illness, a happy event on the horizon, or some other difficult time, here are a few techniques I researched and/or personally tried in time of emotional difficulty. 1. Leave your work in your office, and home trouble at home. Develop a habit of leaving any stresses, problems, or other emotionally charged thoughts where they belong. I suggest doing it even for happy events. Take the energy and positive feeling with you, but try to leave the content, so that it does not distract you. How to do it? Try visualizing that when you are closing/locking the door, you leave all the emotionally charged events behind the door. Use the journey to and from as a clear divider, make it about the in-between time. Don't allow yourself to dwell on what's happened, don't revisit the conversations, don't replay events. Focus on something neutral that doesn't belong to either of the spaces you are traveling between, e.g., read a book/paper, listen to music/podcasts. You can also have topic you want to think of, such as planning your holidays, or your next blog post. 2. Air your head. This works well in combination with number 1 on this list. Personally, I find walking an excellent way to clear my head and leave things, particularly work, behind. Many of the professional helpers I spoke to identify the importance of using the journey home to create a strong work/home boundary. Set up your from-work journey in a way that has some walking included. If you can't walk all the way, try walking at least a little. Get on your bus/train one stop farther, or off it one stop earlier, and walk the remaining distance. Park your car at the farthest end. Take the stairs instead of the lift. You can practice leaving your work behind strategies described above while doing it. Walking works best, because of the added bonus of exercise and being out there in the real world, ideally in nature. But if you can't walk, whether you're driving, using public transport, or being a passenger in someone else's car, make sure you are deliberately using the commute time to air your head. Light readings, listening to positive music, or non-work related conversations all can help. 3. Sleep and sleep it off when needed. Sleep is necessary for processing of learning and anything else that happens to us during the day. This is when all those, important for effective learning and memory formation, connections between brain cells are formed. Sleep deprivation reduces our ability to cope with emotions, as any new parents can attest. By making sure you sleep adequately, you reduce the risk of letting your emotions take over your mind. I also use sleep/naps to manage particularly emotionally stressful states. Short naps after a particularly emotionally charged day have been my most effective strategy for resetting my brain when I have something important I need to focus on later that day, and the above strategies have not worked. Because of the conditioning to it's a new day, I can start afresh. My brain helps me put whatever has happened behind me, even with a short nap. I usually take a power nap of 15 to 20 minutes, making sure it's no longer than that, and wake up with my mind wiped clean so I can start afresh. If you really need more sleep, just go to bed early. 4. Slow down and downsize. This is not a quick fix but more of a lifestyle habit. If you find yourself often emotionally affected by stuff, take time to reflect what is really important in your life. Do it regularly, make sure you prioritize accordingly. Once you have clarity in the life priorities department, try to eliminate what is not essential. Slow down, learn to say no to all those unimportant, emotionally draining things. Consider reducing the amount of time spent watching TV, using social media, or socializing, particularly with toxic people. You may be surprised to discover how much of your emotional clutter is actually not even yours. 5. Do an emotional dump before you sit down to do your work. Many people find that getting it off their chest helps them leave their emotional ballast behind. If you need to clear your mind from emotional effects of the day, try dumping it. This is not about asking for advice or support. It is plainly about getting it off your chest. How to do it? Talk to someone you trust, but ask them just to listen, not to comment. Be clear and honest about explaining the point of this exercise and ask your friend/partner if this would be okay with them. Remember, it's not about seeking help or support, or worse, getting into an argument about what's happened. This technique can only work if both you and your friend/partner can refrain from commenting or entering any kind of conversation. As with any other technique I suggest, try it and see if it works for you. I know people who find this strategy helpful, but I have tried it and did not like it. Even when I managed to find someone who would just listen without trying to give me advice or emotional support, I did not like reliving the experience when telling about it. Journal. This is a great way of doing a dump without bothering anyone. As long as you can keep it focused on getting it off your chest, it should be short and sweet. Try doing it without censoring your thoughts. Write about your feelings just as they are. Some people prefer to do stream of consciousness journaling, some prefer a more reflective approach. If you have a preference, go for it. If not, find out what works for you. Warning. The point is not so much discussing the matter, but doing a dump. The distinction is quite important, because there are things that you may want and really should discuss with your nearest and dearest, to seek their advice or support. Here, we are talking about all those things that are not really that important, but keep buggering you or cluttering your mind. Having an emotional dump may help you clear it. Be mindful, though, for some people, revisiting those don't really want to be bothered by events and irritations is counterproductive as it only reminds them of the events and brings them to the fore. Check to see if it works for you, and don't do it if it doesn't. How to regain control of your mind when emotions take over. The techniques described above are best used as preventive strategies. Use them on a regular basis for a better sense of control over your emotional mind. However, if you find yourself being distracted by your emotional state right in the middle of something, here are a couple of things you can try to bring your mind back to focus. 1. Breathe and refocus. If you find yourself distracted by your thoughts or emotional remnants of earlier events, just take a deep breath and refocus on whatever you are trying to do. Rinse and repeat, focusing on your breathing. Then switch your focus back to your task. 2. Have your own grounding trick to refocus. I wrote elsewhere in the book about little tricks you can use to bring yourself back into focus. These little techniques originate from anxiety management and sensory modulation and are very effective in bringing your focus back into the here and now. Over the years, I have developed a toolkit of grounding tricks, inspired by multiple therapeutic approaches. For a full list of resources, check the resources section of this book. Below are a few of my favorites, together with what other people I've worked with found helpful. Pick these one by one and test them to see if they work for you. Don't worry if one strategy does not work for you, give it some time, try for at least a few days. If this one doesn't work, try another one. It's good to have a few tricks up your sleeve, so don't stop experimenting. The mechanisms behind those techniques is to cut through your mental noise/clutter with sensory input, that is, by using your vision, hearing, touch, smell, taste. We all have different sensory preferences, so again, see whatever works for you. Use your eyes, notice and name 5 things around you. Blink 10 times. Look around yourself and find 5 things in your favorite color. Use your hearing, say something out loud, e.g., count backward, say your name. I often say out loud whatever the last word on my mind was. Smell, notice the smells around you, go and sniff a lemon/a flower/your favorite perfume. Some people keep a little collection of essential oils. Taste, make yourself a cup of tea/coffee and sip on it when you feel distracted. Savor the taste. Touch, touch your hand/chair/desk, notice the texture, etc., and remind yourself you have something to focus on. Physical activity, stretch, wave your hand, wear a rubber band on your wrist and snap lightly when you want to refocus too. Acknowledge and move on. Practice mindfulness and meditation. A great way to master your emotional states is practicing mindfulness and meditation. Studies show that mindfulness reduces our tendency to ruminate on stuff, helps us focus and disengage from emotionally upsetting thoughts, boosts our working memory. The list goes on. 1. There are lots of fantastic resources on how to out there. Check the resources section for some suggestions. Remember, mindfulness does not require you to sit down in a special space. You can do it anywhere at any time. You can also combine it with other techniques mentioned above. I do it on my way home from work, while walking, and sometimes in micro doses when having breathe and refocus moments. Use your emotions for powerful memory. On the flip side, emotions are what we remember. Emotions are like little tags, remember me, for our brain. That's why emotions can be incredibly helpful in anything that requires memory, whether it's memorizing historical dates, learning new vocabulary, or practicing your presentation. Strangely enough, it does not really matter much whether these are positive or negative emotions, because both types can help you remember, as long as they are at the optimal level of intensity and duration at the time. If you read about the effect of too much for too long stress in the previous chapter, you will not be surprised to hear that research shows experiencing too many emotions, positive or negative, or emotions going on for too long will overwhelm us. Why? Because with too much emotion we lose focus. It's hard to ignore that paralyzing fear, overwhelming sadness, or boundless joy. Let that feeling in you're struggling to concentrate on your task. How much is just enough? How long is just right? Ideally, you want something to last as long as the study/work session you need it for. If not the whole, then at least a part of it. As for the intensity of your emotional state, there is a level of emotional response or emotional arousal that enhances cognitive processes. It's hard to quantify it, but you can easily find out what works for you by experimenting with various levels of your emotional response until you find your sweet spot. How to use emotions for better focus. 1. Make your work/learning emotionally appealing. You can achieve it by using things such as visual aids, pretty, shiny things, or using other senses, e.g., nice-smelling study room. I strongly believe that one of the reasons why I have been so persistent with my morning study/work routine is a cup of coffee. I programmed the coffee machine so that I wake up to the smell of freshly brewing coffee. And man, this is a smell I want to get up to, even when I don't have to, e.g., on weekends. Use little sensory tricks like that. 2. Spice it up with a little stress. A little stress can motivate us to push on in the rush to the finish line. A looming deadline, or exam anxiety, fear of failure, desire to fulfill a promise made to someone, can power our ability to focus. However, too much stress can kill it. The key is to find that sweet spot of so-called optimal emotional arousal, enough to light the fire, but not enough to burn you out. Use deadlines to help you motivate yourself. Deadlines create a sense of urgency and a challenge, Will I get there on time? Many people like having tight deadlines. Having a clear sense of something hanging over your head may make you push on a little harder. Use deadlines you were given, such as assignment/report due dates, exams, monthly performance meetings, etc., to drive your motivation. Create your own deadlines if you don't have any given, but also when the given deadlines are too far in the future. Keep it close enough for the sense of urgency, but realistic. Beware. The flip side of using deadlines as motivators is waiting until the deadline is really looming, e.g., leaving revision to the night before the exam is due or starting to write your report on the morning it's due. This approach can result in poor quality or unfinished work and extra, unnecessary stress for you. Use social obligations to increase the stakes. Having some sort of social obligation to fulfill, whether is it in collaboration or in competition with someone, can also give you that extra push. Team up with someone/find an accountability buddy and check in with them regularly to report on your progress. Offer to present your work, or part of it, to a group of co-workers for feedback before the job is actually due. Or, if your work can benefit anyone else in the organization/team, your study group, or your fellow co-founders, volunteer to prepare a presentation or write a summary report for them. For more tips on how to use and manage stress, see Chapter 12. 3. Design your own system of rewards. Use little extrinsic motivators to boost your drive to the finish line. Be careful not to kill your intrinsic motives, see Chapter 4 for more details, but make sure you care about those rewards. You can promise yourself your favorite snacks, or time spent procrastinating on your favorite game, or whatever you fancy. Keep an eye on the proportions, so that consuming your rewards doesn't take over your work time. 4. Make your motivation for your goals emotional. Extrinsic or intrinsic, positive or negative, emotions can be powerful motivators. When you formulate your goals and explore your motivation, Chapters 3 and 4, make sure you have at least a couple of emotional reasons why. For example, your goal of graduating from college/university or completing a project may be that it will give you a sense of achievement and pride. If you're setting up a business from home, you're likely to be looking for independence and happiness in work/life balance. 5. Put yourself in the mood for work. Set up your work/study environment to enhance the sense of joy or slight stress. Remember the sweet spot rule, not too much and not for too long. Experiment with various moods. Negative emotions, such as fear or anger, can help enhance our analytical functions, critical thinking, and attention to detail. Positive emotions such as joy, happiness, and pride can boost creative, outside-the-box approaches. When in doubt, go for the positive emotions. Use some aids, such as doing something that makes you laugh or smile before your study session. When I'm in need of an emotional booster before a work session, I watch funny videos on YouTube or look up LOL cats. But for you it may be playing with your pet, listening to your favorite song, or chatting to someone you like/love. Do something that makes you feel accomplished and successful, even if it's washing a pile of dishes. 6. Manage two powerful emotions. However, if you find yourself in a situation outside your sweet spot and your emotional state is getting in the way of your concentration, don't let it overwhelm you completely. Try strategies described in How to Regain Control of Your Mind When Emotions Take Over section to regain control of your mind. How to manage free-range thoughts, bursts of ideas, and other challenges of a wandering mind. Do you find yourself juggling many thoughts, ideas, or to-dos at the same time? Does your mind have a mind of its own and keep wandering off when you should be focusing on the job at hand? Do you feel that your mind is like a big, crowded office with lots of half-open files with bits and pieces of paper slipping out of it, laying scattered around, hanging off walls? If this is what your mind feels like, you are not alone. I've been there, many times. I even used to pride myself on being able to stay on top of that mess, knowing where stuff was, remembering lots of little details and being able to recall a multi-layered novel plot I developed years ago. As I grew older and busier, I started forgetting more and more, including people's names, birthdays, and even my own address. What saved me from despair was David Allen's book and time management system Getting Things Done, GTD. You can learn more about it from his fantastic book, Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, and his website http://gettingthingsdone.com/. 2. I adapted some of the GTD processes, added a few techniques from psychological and cognitive neuroscience baskets, and came up with a system for managing a wandering mind as described below. Step 1. Declutter your mind just as you would do with a real messy office. To keep your mind organized and on track, start with decluttering it. This is one of the most powerful GTD techniques. All you need is pen and paper, or a suitable piece of software, to capture all those free-range thoughts. Better still, set up an idea notebook so you can keep your ideas in one place. This strategy works great as an initial mind cleanup, but can improve your productivity further when done on a regular basis. Here is how you can go about it. Offload onto paper all the thoughts you're holding in your head at the moment. Write one thought/idea per line, so that you can clearly see the separation. Once you've got your thoughts out on the piece of paper, you can either leave it there and get on with your job, knowing your great ideas are safe and you can come back to them whenever you want to, or move on to the next step, coding and filing it. This is good if you are doing this exercise as an initial cleanup. Step 2. Have a system for capturing your free-range thoughts. Ideally, you want to perform the above-mentioned mental cleanup on a regular basis. This way you get into the habit of clearing your mind and also ensuring your great ideas and important to-dos don't get lost. I use idea notebooks, which I carry with me everywhere I go. It has been crucial to my ability to manage multiple projects at